Zo, dit is moeilijk om te doen. Today we're going to talk about some combat. Hey, what's up? Husman here, and today's development update of my video game Rather the Mad King. I'm gonna talk to you about some combat that I've been working on. Put a lot of time into the combat system because it's one of the main systems that you're gonna be doing in the game. A lot of combat with enemies, all sorts of enemies, ranged enemies, close quarter enemies, melee combat, ranged combat. And now I've worked mostly on the shooting combat, so how to interact with guns, how to implement cool particle effects, because you're gonna do it so much time in the game. I wanted to feel good, to have some weight to it, so I created a lot of sound effects first and foremost for all the guns, at least for all the guns that I have now in the game. So we have combat shotguns, we have revolvers, we have laser rifles, and lots of different guns which handle in different ways. I really want to feel every gun to feel unique, giving you a different playstyle, be it a different speed of firing, be it different damage that it does. So I've worked on creating a lot of the weapons, I worked on the animations, and I've got it almost about right. There's only one issue that I'm still trying to iron out, and that's the rotation of the player once he has shot. Now he's shooting in about the right direction, but sometimes he's moonwalking, which I don't need in this particular instance. So I created this simple combat tester level where there's a simple spawner which spawns waves of enemies which will be coming towards it. And when you listen close, you can also hear some basic sound design done on the enemies. I've used these little spiders which morph and dissolve from time to time as the main enemies to test out the combat. You can hear them walk, you can hear them attack. They also have a certain sound when they die, so everything I feel starts to grow, starts to become a little bit more interesting. And to give everything some more impact, I also added some screen shakes, so whenever the player gets hit, whenever the enemies get hit, whenever a gun is fired, whenever there's an explosion, there will be some screen shakes so you really feel the blunt of the attack. Now, next to the gunplay, I finally managed to get some grenades to work, and these grenades work differently because they have a timer, they have like a range, they also have an area of effect so they can attack multiple enemies. How I set it up now is basically just a stackable item in your inventory that you can pick up, and when pressing a button you can throw the grenade, and once the timer detonates and the enemies are in a certain range of this grenade, the closer they are towards the grenade when it detonates, the more damage they will take. It's like a little curve that I created, so it's a bit more realistic in terms of the actual grenade impact. I created some really cool particle effects, some sound effects to go with it to give each grenade a different kind of style. For now I have just a frag grenade and a shock grenade, so one does shock damage and one does just ballistic damage. So when I was working on this grenade, I actually got a sort of an idea for exploding barrels, like exploding things that the player can interact with to do damage in a similar way with an area of effect. So I've created some barrels which the player can interact with from a certain distance, so he doesn't have to stand next to them. It will be some kind of upgrade which will be unlockable into the game. For instance, like a prosthetic arm or a brain upgrade that you can get after completing a certain mission. Not sure how I'm gonna implement this. If you have any cool ideas how I could create this into an upgrade, please let me know down below, then we'll have a look if you have mainly a better idea than I would have. So now the player can shoot at these barrels. The player can basically use the same button as for shooting, so when you shoot the barrel will explode, and in the same way with the same curve it will explode and damage surrounding enemies. Now I'm gonna follow this up with creating also something with Now I'm gonna improve on this, create different kind of explodables, and also create some hazardous environments where the player will get damage when he gets, for instance, close to some poison or stuff. So that's what I'm gonna do next. And that was basically what I wanted to share with you with terms of the game this week. I'm really getting some proper progress in, adding more and more sounds as well to the game, adding more functionality to the game, and the story is almost done. So really making some good progress, and I promise you we're getting closer every week with the final first playtest for you all. So keep an eye out for that. But that's all for me this week. If you like what I do, hit that like button. If you haven't already, subscribe. You can also support me financially on Patreon. I got a lot of cool stuff on my Patreon which I share every month. Samples, presets, MIDI, monthly tracks and more. So if you're interested in that, go have a look on my Patreon page. It's patreon.com/husmanmusic. That's all for me and I see you all on the next video. Take care. Bye bye.